Module 2, Basics of Scripting. The objectives of this module are as follows. 1. Overview of programming in C. 2. Overview of programming in Python. 3. Important Python libraries. 4. Bash scripting. 5. Socket programming in C and Python. Module 2, Section 1. Let's start with C programming language. C is a general-purpose, high-level language that was originally developed by Dennis M. Ritchie to develop the Unix operating system at Bell Labs. C was originally first implemented on the DIS PDP-11 computer in 1972. For the purpose of this tutorial, it is recommended to use Linux operating system to follow the tutorial. Checking whether GCC is installed correctly or not. The GNU Compiler Collection is a compiler system produced by the GNU Project supporting various programming languages. GCC is a key component of the GNU tool chain and the standard compiler for most Unix-like operating systems. Useful commands. GCC-V, or GCC-version. Which GCC command will enable you to know whether GCC is installed in your /usr/bin folder or not. Writing the first program in C. 1. Create a new file using any editor. 2. Enter the following text as mentioned in the slide. 3. In the command line type the following command. gcc filename.c-onuname and ./ununame. Output you should get, first program. Data types in C. 1. Basic, integer and floating point data types. 2. Enumerated, arithmetic data types that can only be assigned discrete integer values. 3. Void, void indicates no values are available. 4. Derived, includes pointers, arrays, structures, functions and unions. These are user-defined data types which are constructed from basic data types. Integer data types list. Please pause the video and have a proper look if you are not familiar with it. Floating data types list. C variables lists is given below. 1 char, single octet, 1 byte. 2 int, the most natural size of integer for the machine. 3 float, a single precision floating point value. 4 double, a double precision floating point value. 5 void, represents the absence of type or null type. Valid variable declaration syntax examples. The general syntax for declaring a variable is, the type of variable followed by variable name during declaration. Defining constants. Constants can be defined using 2 ways. 1. Using preprocessor directives. 2. Using const keyword. Storage classes. A storage class defines the scope, visibility, and lifetime of variables and/or functions within a C program. They precede the type that they modify. We have 4 different storage classes in a C program which are as follows. 1. Auto. The auto storage class is the default storage class for all local variables. 2. Register. The register storage class is used to define local variables that should be stored in a register instead of RAM. 3. Static. The static storage class instructs the compiler to keep a local variable in existence during the lifetime of the program instead of creating and destroying it each time it comes into and goes out of scope. 4. Extern. The extern storage class is used to give a reference of a global variable that is visible to all the program files. When you use extern, the variable cannot be initialized. However, it points the variable name at a storage location that has been previously defined. Decision making in C. If construct. An if statement consists of a Boolean expression followed by one or more statements. If, else construct. An if statement can be followed by an optional else statement, which executes when the Boolean expression is false. Switch statement. A switch statement allows a variable to be tested for equality against a list of values. Loops. While loop repeats a statement or group of statements while a given condition is true. It tests the condition before executing the loop body. It is also known as entry control loop. For loop executes a sequence of statements multiple times and abbreviates the code that manages the loop variable. Do, while loop. It is more like a while statement, except that it tests the condition at the end of the loop body. It is also known as exit control loop. Loop controlling statements. The break statement terminates the loop or switch statement and transfers execution to the statement immediately following the loop or switch. Continue statement causes the loop to skip the remainder of its body and immediately retest its condition prior to reiterating. Go to statement transfers control to the labeled statement. Functions. Function is a group of statements that together perform a task. Every C program has at least one function, which is main, and all the most trivial programs can define additional functions. It helps in establishing the reusability feature of code. Function argument call types are as follows. Call by value. This method copies the actual value of an argument into the formal parameter of the function. In this case, changes made to the parameter inside the function have no effect on the argument. Call by reference. This method copies the address of an argument into the formal parameter. Inside the function, the address is used to access the actual argument used in the call. This means that changes made to the parameter affect the argument. C pointers. A pointer is a variable whose value is the address of another variable, that is, direct address of the memory location. Like any variable or constant, a pointer must be declared before using it to store any variable address. Strings. Strings are actually one-dimensional array of characters terminated by a null character \0. Thus, a null-terminated string contains the characters that comprise the string followed by a null. Please go through the following functions by pausing the video. Difference between structure and union. Structure and union both are user-defined data types which contains variables of different data types. Both of them have same syntax for definition, declaration of variables and for accessing members. In structure each member gets separate space in memory. In union, the total memory space allocated is equal to the member with largest size. All other members share the same memory space. File I/O. A file represents a sequence of bytes, regardless of it being a text file or a binary file. C programming language provides access on high-level functions as well as low-level, OS-level, calls to handle file on your storage devices. Please go through the following list before moving forward.